Hello everyone and welcome to WP User TV. In today's video, I'm going to show you step by step how I managed to build this landing page for an e-commerce website. I'll be showing you step by step how I build this website. The work involves going to Photoshop, preparing our images and doing a bit of customizations, and then going into Divi and putting everything all together. Now, if you're brand new to web design, I have a free course that I'm giving away called WordPress Mastery. You can go ahead right now. The link is in the description below. You can go ahead and sign up for that course and start learning. If you'd like to learn how to design websites using Divi, I also have a course. All that information is in the comments box below. If you haven't bought Divi yet, great news. If you buy Divi using my affiliate link, I will give you access to my Divi Blueprint 3 course, which shows you everything that you need to know in order for you to build awesome looking websites. Again, all that information is in the show notes below. So without wasting a lot of time, let's dive in and let me show you how I managed to build this landing page. Okay, so first of all, I got all my images that I'm going to use throughout this tutorial from this website called Pixabay. Okay, so all I got to do here is to click on search, and then you have all these handbags come up. So I downloaded all the handbags onto my computer, and then I went on and chose an image which I use as my hero image. And the image I chose is this one right here. So I'm going to click on it so you can see it. So all you got to do is to come over here to this green button, click on free download, and this image now gets downloaded onto your computer. Okay, so now that you have all your images that you need, the next step now is to go into Photoshop and prepare all our images. Okay, so I'm going to come over here to my downloads folder where I have all my images. So I'm going to start off with the hero image. So I'm going to right click and open with Photoshop like that. So now our image is open in Photoshop. Okay, so what I'm going to do is to come over here to my crop tool, and then I'm just going to drag like that until I'm happy with the width that I need. Okay, so now that I'm happy with that, I'm just going to hit enter. Now we have this white space over here, but don't worry about that. We are going to fix it. So over here to my layers, I'm going to add a brand new layer. So I'm going to click on create a new layer. Okay, so next, what we need to do is to just double click on this layer to get rid of this lock icon. And then the next stage now is to drag this one layer onto the bottom like that. Okay, so now we have this main image on the top and we have this blank layer on the bottom. The next stage now is to delete this white part of the image. So I'm going to come over here and select this white part like that. And it doesn't matter if you go a bit into this color here. So now that I have my selection, all I have to do now is to hit delete. Okay, so now you see that this area now is transparent. So the next stage now is to paint over and make sure that we match this color that we have over here. So to do that, I need to come over here to my eyedropper tool. So I'm going to select my eyedropper tool, and then I'm just going to click here where we have this color. So now my foreground color has the same color as I have here. Next, I need to add my brush tool. So I'm going to press on B, and then I'm just going to start painting. Okay, so I'm just going to continue doing that. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in so you can actually see what is happening here. So making sure that it's now seamless. Okay, so our hero image is almost ready, but we can always add a few custom shapes to make this look a bit more stylish. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to come over here to my shape tool, and then I'm going to come over here to custom shape tool. So over here on the top, you can see the shape that's highlighted is the heart. So if we click this little down arrow, we get even more shapes there. So let's start off with the heart. So I'm going to start off by just adding my heart like that. Add another one, but slightly smaller. Now what we can also do here, since these hearts are all added onto a separate layer, I can always reduce the opacity just by dragging like that. So we don't want to make them really like in your face. So that to me seems fine. I can also add some more shapes. So I can come over here again to my custom shape tool, choose the line tool, and then I can just add a few diagonal lines like that. Okay, maybe another one right here. Maybe we might need to add a few more hearts to just balance this design out. So I'm going to come back over here to my shape tool, do the same, add a little one right there, another one there, and maybe one more just here. Okay, great. And then finally, I'm going to come over here to my opacity and just reduce this all the way down. to about, say, 19%. Okay, so that's looking great. Now I'm ready to export this image. In fact, before I do that, I just need to reduce the opacity for these two hearts here. Right, so that will do. And then finally, I'm just going to reduce the opacity for this one. Okay, so that's looking great. I'm ready now to export my image and use it as my hero image. Okay, so to export your image, you hold down the Shift, Alt, Command S. Okay, so here I need to add the width of my image. So for this example here, I'm just going to add 2000 for my width and then click on Save. And then you can save this now onto your computer. So I already have mine saved, so I'm just going to hit Cancel. Next, we need to now add our images for our products. So to do that, I'm going to come over here again to my Finder. Now these are the images for the handbags. So the easiest thing is to select all 4 of them like that. Come over here to Photoshop, create a brand new document. So I'm going to come over here to File and then click New. And the dimensions for this are going to be 600 by 800. So I'm going to select that, click Create, and then I'm going to come over here to my files in my Downloads folder and then just drag everything onto my canvas. So I'm going to just do that like that, and then one by one these images now are going to show on my canvas, and now I can just add them quickly and then export them because this will be the right size. So in a moment I'll explain why I'm bringing these images into Photoshop and then re-exporting them. Okay, so let's start by adding our image. So that's our first image. I just have to resize this one here like that. Hit Enter. Now this one here is filling up the page a bit too much. I'm going to hit Enter, and then finally we have this one right here. Then just make sure that it's in the center and then hit Enter. So now I have all my images, okay? And you can see them here over here on my layers. Okay, so the reason why we're bringing these images into Photoshop and then re-exporting them is because we need to reduce the file size and also make each image the same size. Because when we downloaded these images from Pixabay, they all come in different sizes, and the size that it comes into is high res. So if you upload these images straight into your website or straight from your camera, this file size is way too big. This is going to slow down your computer. So let me show you now how we can optimize them when we save these images. Okay, so I'm going to save my image right here, and you can see that the file size here is way smaller. This is only 401 Okay, now this is in PNG 24. Now when you save this image, you have to make sure that this is saved as a JPEG. So I'm going to come over here, select JPEG, and now this is optimized. You can see here the quality. I've just brought that down to about 80%, and over here you can see the file size is only 137.2K. Now let's go and check and see the file size that we had when we downloaded this image straight from Pixabay. Okay, so for now, I'm just going to go ahead and save. And then if you want to continue and save the rest of them, you just go through the same process. You just come over here, disable this layer, select your other one, save this image, disable this one, select the other one, save it, and so on. So let's go ahead now into our folder and see the size of the image. So I'm going to minimize this, and then I'm just going to bring this over here. So you can see here the size of this image when we downloaded it is about 643 kilobytes. So this is much bigger, and after optimization in Photoshop, this file was reduced to 137. So this is why we're doing this. This will help your website load faster. So I would recommend that you go in and customize your files when in Photoshop. Now let's go ahead and build our page. So right now I'm logged into my WordPress website, and I also have Divi installed. So what I'm going to do now is to add a brand new page. So I'm going to come over here to Pages, click on Add New. So I'm just going to call this page Handbags. Click on Use the Divi Builder, and then I'm going to go straight into the Visual Builder. So here I'm going to start off by going straight to add our background image. So I'm going to come over here, click on this gear icon, click on Background, and then I'm going to click this third tab, click the plus button, And as you can see, I have all my images already installed, but in your case, you would have to come over here to upload files and then use these images. So I'm going to select my hero image, click on upload image. So you can see now my image is added. For now, I'm going to go ahead and save. And then I'm going to come over here and click this button here to add our column structure. And the column structure we need is this one right here. I'm going to select it. And we are going to need a text module first. I'm going to hit text. And then over here, I'm going to come to lorem 2 and just use this as my dummy text. So I'm going to highlight the text that I need. And then I'm going to come over here and paste it. Next, I'm going to come over here to design. In fact, before I go to design, I need to make sure that this text is set as the heading text. So I'm going to come over here to paragraph and change that to heading 1. So you can also see here on the top that this now has changed. It's now nice and bold. Next, I'm going to come over here to design, click on heading text. And because this is H1, these changes I'm going to make over here are going to take effect. So I'm going to change my font from default to Lato. And then I'm going to change this from regular to heavy. I'm going to select all caps. And then I'm going to increase the size. So I'll say 60 is fine. The heading text, I'm going to change that to white. And then over here on my header lettering spacing, I'm just going to increase that to about, say, 10. And then I'm going to come over here to my text shadow. I'm going to select this one right here. And then I'm just going to do a few adjustments. So here, I'm just going to drag this over to the right a little bit. And then I'm going to also adjust the vertical height. Just a little bit like that. Okay, so that's looking great. I'm really happy with that. I may want to increase the size here as well, like that, maybe 62. So that's looking great. Let's go ahead and save. Now it's time to add another text module. So this is going to have our description text. So I'm going to come over here, click this plus button, and I'm going to search for my text module, like that. Come over here to lorem 2, and I'm just going to copy this paragraph. Now in your case, the text that you're going to have here is going to be your text for the description of your shop. So right now I'm just using this dummy text because it just saves me from typing and coming up with a copy. Right, so I'm just going to paste this, come over here to design, click on text. Now my default font is going to be Lato, so I'm going to select that. Now let's change the size. I'm just going to increase the size, let's say to about 30, maybe 30. Okay, our text color is going to be white, just like what we have there on the top. Just add a bit of letter spacing. In fact, for this, we don't need a letter spacing. We just need line height. So I'm going to add my line height. And we may want to increase our size a little bit. Okay, so that, I think 36 will do. Okay, that's looking great. Now I can go ahead and save. Okay, so now that we have all the elements that we need for this section, we are going to go ahead now and add some spacing so that we get to see more of our image. So to do that, I'm going to start off by adding dividers. So I'm going to come over here, click this plus button. I'm going to add my first divider, like that. Come over here to design, sizing, and I'm going to make this height quite big, maybe even 100. I'm going to save that. Now, right now, I can't see my divider, and this is where now you can go into our wireframe view. So I'm going to click here on the wireframe view. So I can see here my divider is right there. I'm going to clone it and then drag this divider to the top like that. And then I'm going to go back to my normal view. So we can see right here that our image is now showing. So next, what I'm going to do here is to add some padding to my section. So I'm going to increase that to maybe, let's say 180. And then on the bottom here, I'm going to increase that to maybe the same. Great. And then finally, I'm just going to add some padding onto my row. So I'm going to come over here, click on design, sizing, spacing, and then margin top. I'll just add maybe 50 to start off with. And then on the bottom, let's try 30. Okay. So now I'm happy with this. Now these dimensions that I've used here may be different with your monitor. So I'm just trying to design it this way so that you can see everything that we are adding onto this page. Next, I'm going to come over here and add our parallax. So I'm going to come over here to my section settings, click on design, click on background, And then I'm going to come over here where it says use parallax effect. I'm going to say yes. And then I'm going to choose CSS. Okay, that's great. I'm going to go ahead now and save. Now it's time to add our second section, which is going to have all our products. So let's go ahead and do that. So to do that, I'm just going to click this plus button, click on regular. Now the products that we're going to have are 4. So I need 4 columns. So I'm going to select that. And then I'm going to start off by adding an image module. So I'm going to select or search for my image module, select it. And then over here, I'm going to come to my image URL. And the first image I'm going to select is right here. Click upload image. So you can see now that's my first image. Great. For now, I'm just going to save. Now let's add a background color to this section. So I'm going to click this gear icon, come over here to background, click the plus button, and I'm going to make this black. I'm going to go ahead and save. Now it's time to adjust the size of our row. So I'm going to click the row settings, click on design, sizing. We're going to make this row full width, and then I'm just going to save for now. And then over here, we're going to add our text and our call to action button. So I'm going to click this plus button, search for my text module. So we're going to give this bag a name. So the first name we're going to use here is, I'm just going to select random names from here, paste it like that. Now we need to do a bit of styling to this. I'm going to come over here to design text, and then I'm going to make sure that the text orientation here is set to centered. I'm going to choose all caps, and then over here for our text font, I'm going to choose Lato, just so that we have consistency. Okay, so my text size here, I'm going to increase that a little bit to about, say, 22 or maybe even 20. And then we're going to add some letter spacing. So 6 will do. And then finally, we need to add our color. So I'm going to come over here to text color and set it to white. Okay, so far this is taking shape. Now let's add a button. So I'm going to come again over here, click this plus button and add our button module like that. And then our call to action on our button is just going to be buy now. Now we also need to add some styling to this button so that it looks exactly how we want it. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to come over here to design, click on button, and you need to make sure you click on use custom styles for button. Select that. Okay. And then our button text color needs to be set to white like that. Right, let's come over here to our button letter spacing. Okay, so let's go with 4 for now. And then let's choose our font. Again, it's going to be Lato, all caps. Now the size is a bit too big and it's not centered. So we need to go ahead and adjust that. So let's come over here to our button text size and reduce that. Maybe even to about 14. Okay, so that's looking great. Over here on the top, we can choose our alignment and we just have to make sure that it's centered. So now we can see that that looks much better. In fact, the size of the button is a bit too big. Let's go ahead and adjust it one more time. So right now it's 14. Let's reduce that to about 12. Okay, so that's looking much better now. Okay, so I'm really happy with that. Now I can go ahead and save. I can see here that my row is way too big. Let's reduce the size a little bit. So I'm going to come back over here to my row settings, click on design, sizing, and then we're going to use our custom width. So let's use this in percentages. So let's set this to about 70%. See how that looks. I'm going to save. Okay, that looks much better now. Now, to make things easy for me, I'm just going to clone the image module and then have it all and then just update all my images. So let me show you how I do that. So I'm going to come over here, clone this about 3 times like that, and then just drag these images into position. So this really saves me a lot of time by doing this process over and over again. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to just come over here into the settings, click on upload, and then I can just update this with the bag that I need. So I'm going to click upload, save that, section settings, upload, select my bag, upload image, save. And then finally, again, I go into my settings, click on upload, choose my bag, upload an image. Okay, now you saw how fast that was. This really saves you a lot of time. So I recommend that you use the clone tool to work much faster in Divi. Now we're going to do the same thing, but this time it's going to be with the names of our bags. So I'm going to come over here, clone this a few times, and then drag this into position. So I'm going to drag that over here. Now, if you can't see where you're dragging, here's one quick tip. You can always come over here to the wireframe view and you can do this even faster. So I'm going to come over here to my wireframe view, and now I can see all my text modules. I'm just going to drag this into position like that. And then while I'm here in my wireframe view, I might as well work on the buttons. So I'm going to clone them again like that. Drag them into position. Great. So now I can go back to my view and see everything now in place. So you can see here, everything is looking great. Everything is taking shape. Now, here's one really, really important thing. So what you want to do here is to come over here into these buttons and add your links. If you don't add your links, your landing page won't work effectively because obviously people won't be able to go to that product. So let's come over here to our module settings and let me show you where you can add that link. So this right here is where you get the link, where you can add the link. Right now, I'm just going to add a blank link like that. But in your case, you need to add a link that goes into your website where that specific product is. So for now, I'm going to go ahead and save since you know where that is now. Great. So what we're going to do next here is to add some animation to this. So I'm going to come over here to my section settings. So I'm going to come over here to my row settings, click on design, animation, slide. Now we want this to slide up. So we're going to choose animation direction up. Great. But you can see here that things are a bit abrupt. So let's customize the timing. Okay, that's a bit slower. That's much better. That's even better. Now the animation delay, we can also adjust that. Great. Right, I think I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead now and save. Okay, now we are going to use one of the features that was added recently to Divi, and this is the section dividers. Let's go ahead and do that. So right now, I'm going to come to this top section. I'm going to click this gear icon to go into my section settings, click on design, and then I'm going to come over here to my divider. Now, we can see here that our images have this little shape over here. We may want to replicate this on this section. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to choose bottom and then I'm going to choose my style. So let's add it right there. So we can see here that already that's really looking stylish. I really like the way that is looking. So that's looking great. I'm going to go ahead now and save. Now it's time to add one more section. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to click this plus button here. I'm going to click on regular for a regular section. And this one just needs one column. So let's go ahead and do that. Now this column here is going to need a text module. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to search for my text module and select it. And then over here, I'm just going to say new collection coming soon. Okay, so that's the text I'm going to have for this section. I'm going to go ahead now and click on design. And then I'm going to click on text, make sure that this is centered. And then I'm just going to make sure that over here it's set to lato. And then I'm just going to increase the text size. I would say maybe even 42. We need some letter spacing. So let's try 10. So 10 looks fine. And then over here, I'm going to make sure that this is set to light. Okay, so for now, I'm going to save. It's time now to add the image that's going to go with the background. So let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to click over here on my gear icon, click on background, click on my third tab, click the plus button, and now we're going to add our image. And I already have my image here in my media library. So I'm going to select it, click upload an image. So there's our image right there. So the next thing I'm going to do is to darken this image, because when we have our white text here, it needs to be easy to read on this background. So let's go ahead and do that. So to darken our image, all I got to do is to come over here to my image blend, I'm going to change this to multiply. Click on my background color. And then I'm just going to drag here until I'm happy with how dark it is. So I think I'm going to settle with this dark gray right there. And then I'm going to go ahead and save. Now let's do a bit of work onto this. So here I can click on my module settings and let's change the color of our text to white like that. Great. I'm going to save this. Now we're going to add our button. So let's go ahead and do that. So as you can see here, I can't add my my button module. So I'm going to come over here to my wireframe view. And let's do that right here. I'm going to click this plus button here and search for my button. In fact, it's right here. I'm going to select it. And then my button text is just going to say get notified like that. Click on design and let's stylize this button. So I'm going to come over here to button, use custom styles for button. Now, since I can't see what is happening here, I'm just going to click this icon here so I can see what is happening here on my design. Right, so let's start with our text size. I'm going to increase that to about, let's say 26. And then over here on our letter spacing, I'm going to increase that to about, let's try 10. Okay, so that's looking great. We need to center the text. So I'm going to come over here to alignment, center this button, come back over here to our button, and we're going to change our button text color to white. Okay, so I'm really happy with that. Now I'm just going to add some spacing between my title and my button. And to do that, I'm going to come over here to spacing, margin top. Let's try 20. Yeah, I think that will do. That looks perfect. I'm going to save. And now we are going to add some padding so we can get to see more of this image. So this is going to be maybe, let's start off with 120. And then the same on the bottom. Let's do this 120. Now let's add some dividers. So I'm going to click this plus button here, add my divider, click on design, and then my sizing here is going to be, let's try 70. I'm going to save that. And then I'm going to clone this divider and add it to the top, drag it to the top like that. Now we can see that we have an idea that that is a bag. So that's looking really, really nice. Now, finally, as I'm looking at this design, I'm not really happy with the buttons here. They look too small, and so I need to go ahead and adjust them. So I'm going to come over here to my module settings, click on design, button, and we're going to increase the size a little bit. So let's try 16. Okay, I'm going to save this. Now, because I have to do this on all the other buttons, instead of me wasting time going into each button one by one, I am going to clone this a few times and then drag the button into position. Like that. Now, what I may want to do here as well is to increase the padding for this section. Let's go to about 100. I want to make sure there's enough breathing space. Let's do that over here as well. It's at 100, or maybe even 120. Okay, so that's looking great. Now I can go ahead and publish my page and exit the Visual Builder. So let's take a look at our page one more time. Okay, so what you want to do is to make sure that this website looks great on mobile devices. So you need to go in and customize each and every item and make sure that it's looking great. So to do that, all you got to do, let's start off with the title here. I'm going to come over here to my settings, click on design. So I'm going to come over here to my text module and click on design, text. In fact, it's heading text I need. So now I can adjust this and make sure that it's looking great on all devices. So if I click here on this icon here, I can click on tablet. And here, let's say I want to have a bit of more line height, I can just increase it like that and make all my tweaks. Okay, so maybe that's the size I need for the tablet. And then I'm going to come over here to my smartphone. And for my smartphone, I think I'm happy with that. Now let's go on to, let's save. And let's go ahead and do the same for this text right here, this description text. I'm going to click the gear icon, click on design, text, and then like we did before, I'm going to click this little icon, click on tablet. So definitely here, I have to reduce the size. So let's go ahead and do that. So I think I'm happy with about 28 on the smartphone. I can reduce that a little bit, maybe to about 23. So as you can see, I'm really optimizing each and every item here, and then you may want to go ahead and do the rest here. So you can see so far this is looking great, and things are not looking great right here. So let's go ahead and fix that. Okay, so over here, I'm gonna come into my text module, click on design, text, and then I'm going to click here on this little icon, click on tablet. Right, so first of all, here on the tablet, I want to reduce the size. So until it fits the screen. So I think 22 is perfect. It fits the screen. And then I'm gonna come over here to my smartphone. Okay, I don't mind having this in 2 lines, but you can see our line height isn't looking great. So let's fix that. Okay, so that's looking much better. I may even try and increase the size here. Okay, so 26 works. And then if this button looks way too big for you, again, you can go in and make that change. But to be honest, in this case, it's not really messing up our design. It looks great, so I'll leave it as it is. So it's always a good rule of thumb that when you design your layout, you go in and make sure that your pages are optimized for all mobile devices. So now that I'm happy with this layout, I'm going to save the page. So if you want this layout and use it in your designs, you can actually go in and make some changes to it. I am going to save it and make it downloadable so you can just go in and import it into your designs. So once again, I'd like to say thank you very much for watching. If you'd like to learn more about Divi, I have a course which you can access free by buying Divi through my affiliate link. So go ahead and do that. If you already have Divi, no problem. There's also a discount for this course. This course will show you everything that you need in order for you to design awesome looking websites using Divi. Now, if you already have all that in place or you're just starting off, I also have a WordPress course which I'm giving away absolutely free. Now, information to all of that is in the show notes below. Okay, so we've come to the end of our tutorial. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.